I'm gonna let you start.
I'm gonna start, okay. Hi, welcome everyone.
Welcome!
This is the Mixed Reviews.
It's, not just one review.
Many of them.
Multiple.
Today we're mixing one review.
Yes.
Two. One man, many reviews.
Many reviews. We're clearly having an amazing night already. Full of pasta, full of wines.
Oh, so good. So many good things happening tonight.
We're ready.
Mm-hmm.
We're ready to talk about the topic of this week. And by the way, if you don't know the Mixed Reviews, if this is your first episode, where you came up with actually a really good slogan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I wasn't even drunk when I wrote that. What was it? It was one topic, 2 weeks, lots of movies, even more opinions.
Absolutely.
We are the Mixed Reviews.
We are the Mixed Reviews.
I'm Louie.
I'm Gavin.
And we're here to rock your world.
Absolutely. So we might be trying something a little different this week. We're trying to gain a little structure on the show. This is only our 7th episode.
Yeah,
so,
I feel good about it.
Yeah, exactly. So if it sounds a little different than some of the other weeks, just go with it.
Just like, shut up and do it, okay? Like, honestly, it's our show, not yours.
Don't fight it.
Yeah. Problematic, Gavin. Problematic.
But this topic of this week's episode is...
Go ahead, you do it.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender. Also, today I told my mom we were doing Michael Fassbender.
And you were like, your Caucasian boyfriend, Michael Fassbender.
She literally said, is that European guy who has those fans? They're called, like, fast bitches. And I was like, I think you're thinking of Cumberbatch and the Cumberbitches.
But I am down to be a fast bitch.
I mean, same, honestly. Like, every time I was like, ugh, a boring white guy in his boring white movies. But then I saw him.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, fine.
I was like, you deliver that monologue that you deliver in every fucking movie you're in.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, is this movie going to feature a close-up in which Michael Fassbender talks for like 15 minutes? Excellent.
Great. I'm here for that.
But yeah, Michael Fassbender.
Should we press rewind?
Press rewind.
Catch everyone up on who Michael Fassbender is. Did you do any research for this? I barely did.
I did. I have
Educate me.
Okay, excellent.
Make me your fast bitch.
Michael Fassbender, who was born in 1977, making him 40 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks great.
I remember telling somebody we were doing this as a topic, and they were like, he's the young guy, right? And I was like, young? And I was like, oh, he's 7 years older than me.
That's disgusting, honestly.
Anyways, he's a German-born Irish actor, which is a great mix. Like, if you can do a German-Irish kid like me, it's a good... No?
Are you and Fassbender the same thing?
We are the same.
Wow, the same flavor of mayonnaise.
I'm also Welsh, which is why I have no muscle in my arms. Hello, I'm from Wales. His feature film debut was, of course, the movie 300 in 2007, but before that, he did a bunch of TV shows. He was in the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers, as well as the Sky One drama Hex. Now, Hex was the first place I had seen him. Had you ever seen Hex?
I've not seen Hex. I knew of Band of Brothers. I'm not surprised. He fits the Band of Brothers brand.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, strong jaw, can give, like, an icy stare.
Yes. So Hex, he played the angel Azazel, and Hex was a very, like, Buffy type British show.
Azazel, who also is featured in X-Men, the first class.
Different. Yeah.
Featuring Michael Fassbender?
Yeah, exactly.
Full circle.
But anyways, go watch that show. It's like Buffy plus, like, extra sex. It only lasted 2 seasons.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Extra sex?
Yeah, extra sex.
Count me in.
So he was born in Heidelberg, Baden-Württemberg, which is in Germany. His mother's name is Adele. She's Irish.
His mom's
Adele.
Father,
his mom's Adele. Hello? And his father, Josef Fassbender, who is German.
Josef, probably then.
Josef, exactly. According to Fassbender family lore, his mother is the great-grandniece of Michael Collins, an Irish leader during War of Independence. When Fassbender was 2 years old, his parents moved to the Irish town of Killarney in the County Kerry, where they ran the West End House, a restaurant where his father worked as a chef. Fassbender was raised Catholic and served as an altar boy. At the church his family attended.
That kind of hot.
Yeah. He has an older sister, Catherine, who's a neuropsychologist.
Casual.
I hope she listens to this episode, and I hope she's both, like, you guys are insane.
Yes.
But yeah, from there, he attended the Fossa National School and St. Brendan's College, both in Killarney. He decided he wanted to be an actor at the age of 17 and was cast in a play by Donald Courtney. At 19, he moved to London to study at the Drama Centre in London, a constituent school of Central St. Martin's. In 1999, he dropped out of the Drama Centre and toured with the Oxford Stage Company to perform in the play Three Sisters. Before he found work as an actor, he'd worked as a bartender and a postman.
When I was 17, I joined up with Doney's company, and we did like pantomime, pub theatre, a lot of sketch work, improvisation, stuff like that, workshops, and I just sort of absorbed as much as I could, and then I sort of broke off and formed my own production company with my friends, and we put on a play of Reservoir Dogs in the local nightclub Ravel's when I was 18, and I directed, produced, and played the part of Mr. Pink. And that was, for me, a great experience and a great learning experience. I learned so much from that in terms of just, doing things through blind enthusiasm and hard work. And I think that gave me a confidence in myself, and from then on went to study in Cork. From Cork I went to London, studied there for just under 3 years, and then left and started seeking professional employment from then on.
It brings me happiness to know that, like, he is not just, like, a good-looking man who was, like, able to, like, figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Thank God.
I love knowing that weird sort
that
of,
hot
like...
people struggle.
Yeah, hot people... But yeah, and from there, he was cast in Band of Brothers. It was his first big screen debut. He did some theater beforehand, and that's how we know him.
My first television job was Band of Brothers, and it was an incredible break, an incredible thing to witness and be part of, and such good guys as well. Most of us really stay in touch up to this point now. That was over 10 years ago. And so after that, I think we all went to Los Angeles en masse. And they were like, oh, so another guy from Band of Brothers. There was a lot of guys running around in green. And that was quite sort of overwhelming for me then, I would say. And I was about sort of 24 at that point, I think. And so I didn't really... I didn't get any work from that sort of 3 months that I went over and just sort of did some meetings and stuff like that. And then I sort of came back to London. I decided then that I wouldn't go back to Los Angeles until I had something really in my back pocket.
And he's literally been playing, like, that adjacent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, Band of Brothers is an easy lead into 300. Oh, you got a hot bod and you look like a vague Roman? Great.
Exactly. And he's literally had a career in which he's basically played Irishmen, Germans, or ancient Romans.
Correct.
And
any mixture or blend.
Except for Macbeth, where he's Scottish.
Right.
Question mark.
I will say, unlike our friend Will Smith,
yes,
Michael Fassbender can kill a fucking accent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen him do, like, Southern, whatever the fuck Steve Jobs was.
Yes.
Scottish, German, British. I'm like, girl, you're all over the map, but you're killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, I've only really experienced one bad accent from him, and I'll get to that.
You'll get to that later.
But yeah, he's really adept at it. And it's not like the Irish accent is a very malleable sort of accent.
Weird. Would you consider him a character actor?
See, this is what, and I'm curious about this because I think he is not. I think he's a leading man who wants to be a character actor, and I think he can pull a good character performance, but I think he can also pull a really bad character performance.
Okay. I guess we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
I was thinking about it, and also maybe I'm just like ignorant. I'm like, what makes a character actor? Like,
I think a character actor's defining, attribute is the ability to lose themselves in a role, but also have some tiny quality that makes you know who they are as an actor as well too. Right. It's a little unfair, but it tends to be the people that aren't considered like gorgeous. And Michael Fassbender unfortunately suffers from being gorgeous.
Super fucking hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so I think that works against him a little bit. Even in certain films where he has gone out of his way to like tamp down
his hotness.
His hotness. I'm thinking things like Frank or Blood Creek, like where he's like wearing a lot of makeup or something that physically
actual paper mache head.
Yes. And I think that's he's tried to use that to raise his character actor thing. And once again, this is not a judgment on him. He's really fantastic. And I actually had trouble picking. I have my first tie, and we'll also get to that. But I had trouble picking a worse performance because I think he really, for the most part, gives his all. But I just think
seem very like willing to go there for whatever movie.
Absolutely, like he's an actor's actor, absolutely. But I think Hollywood has decided, no, you're a leading man.
Yeah,
like,
right. They're like, oh, you're hot and white.
Yeah,
here you go.
Exactly.
Which is weird because I think I must have read something. It's like all of like these great American stories about great Americans, and like, and I'm thinking about Steve Jobs specifically. You know, they like cast European actors to play these people, and how he's able to kind of disappear. And like, I mean, there's an extent to like, oh, he's white and hot, he can do whatever he wants because it's Hollywood. Yeah. But also, I was just like, man, you know, seeing him in 12 Years a Slave, seeing him in Macbeth, and Steve Jobs, he's really able to just kind of like mold himself into like whatever stock white person you need. Yeah. If it's like whatever, you know, race or nationality, whatever the fuck you want to call it, like, he's able to just like kind of go there. And it's not like, there's definitely movies where he's like, I'm playing, you know, kind of angry European dude or whatever. And he has a lot of that, which is fine, whatever. It's his bread and butter. But like, he's able to, I mean, he has also done not that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so funny to like watch him play, mild, because like you said, he does a lot of anger. Yeah. And he's really good at it. And so when he plays mild, you're always sort of expecting, and maybe that's the flaw of like following an actor's career and like really sort of, but that's what we're doing anyways. We're, you know, taking the auteur theory and sort of applying it to acting as well. And, but like when you watch something like The Counselor and he really never has like
nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the moment? When's it going to happen? Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what's next? What are we doing next?
So next, I believe we would just move into our reviews.
Okay, yeah. So quick aside.
Yes.
I was in Cuba for like 6 days.
Excuses. Oh my god.
And like, believe it or not, Cuba just doesn't have like the best space to be watching movies about.
Huge Michael Fassbender fans though, really. That's
huge fans, but I didn't watch as many movies as I could have.
Right.
But I feel like I've watched enough to like have my picks for an episode.
I, on the other hand, found out that I have seen every single Michael Fassbender big screen movie except for Song to Song, which came out this year.
Like, good for you, honestly.
Yeah. Like I even fucking saw Alien Covenant. Do you know how much I did not want to see Alien Covenant?
I didn't. I feel like we did not want to watch it for different reasons. I am not here for spooky shit.
I'm not here for shitty movies.
I watched the trailer and I was like, no, please. Like, I was horrified.
Just you in a theater alone.
Yeah. I think I watched it at the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Whatever. It was like a midnight showing. I was there with my friend Jonathan, and I literally grabbed him, and he was like, can you let me go, please? So, no, I did not see that. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
No.
Did you see Prometheus before it?
Absolutely not. I heard that was really boring, though.
Yeah. They're, neither's great. They're great they're both terrible for different reasons, so.
Awesome.
Yeah. Louie, hit me with your 1-star review.
Okay, I want to give you like this. Yeah, 1-star review. Yes, correct. This is. I won't say it's a 0-star review. I'll give you a 1-star review for this. I saw this a couple days ago, and my 1-star review has to go to Centurion.
Centurion.
Yes, the great like fucking epic of, I don't know. It's like this movie. There are a lot of things in this movie. I mean, and again, Michael Fassbender is kind of doing the same generic like, I'm British or European, whatever fucking, right. And like angry. This movie is just like so bad though. Straight off the top, there's like these gorgeous sweeping scenes, but they have like these really fucking awful like credits floating over everything. Like it is, and credits get your life. Like, yeah, you made the movie. They just look really fucking bad. I was like, who did you hire to make this for you? Centurion, if you do not know, is about it's the Romans, right?
Yes,
the Roman Empire, and they are trying to go north into Britain.
Yes,
and there's like the natives, like the Picts Pix.
Yeah, I believe they're called the Pix. They,
It's like
yes, Pict.
Yes.
If you're wondering how to spell that at home.
They are.
If you're playing the home game version of the
Thank you so much. They are like natives of the cold north, and
they're essentially the character he would then go on to play in Macbeth.
Correct. Exactly. And like, fucking the Romans are like, we need to take it, blah blah blah, and these natives are like, nah, bitch. And they're using the land to their advantage, and I was surprised at how brutal this movie was.
Yeah.
The blood, I mean, I'm not like, I don't fuck around with blood too much, but like, fine, I get it, like, it's war and like battling, but like, it was such like theater blood. It was like very aggressively like gory but unreal, and like not in a natural way. The one main woman in this movie has her tongue is cut out, and I was like, okay, work. Like, they're just gonna they did that whole thing where it's like, here's a strong female, but she ain't talking, lol. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I hate that thing where they're like, a strong woman who can track stuff and like, beat you up, but like, no lines for her. Mm-mm.
Well, that was definitely one of my frustrations with the movie. The movie was directed by Neil Marshall, who, sort of came to fruition, when he did, I suddenly can't think of I was just looking at it too, The Descent, which is a horror movie from 2005.
Oh, okay.
And like it gained a lot of popularity because it's a movie in which it's 4 main women and they're like against underground monsters. He'd also done this movie in 2002 called Dog Soldiers, which is sort of campy fun. And it seemed like he was going to have a really good career, and all he's done is followed it with shit. It's like Centurion, Doomsday. I think he did one, maybe he didn't. But like, yeah, he's basically had like a really bad Hollywood career.
Centurion, it feels like they were trying for a big swing of either like Oscar baity nonsense or like 300 level nonsense.
Yeah.
And they tried marrying the two, and Fassbender has like, there's like, essentially...
Centurion was actually his last big screen film. He's doing the Hellboy reboot, but...
Ugh, garbage. Essentially, help me, Gavin, I'm drunk. They like go... He's captured, right?
Yes.
And then like another team of Romans go and like help him. But then one of their dudes gets captured.
He escapes, and what's his face from, is The Wire?
He's hot. Good for him.
He's good, yeah.
It's essentially, it turns into this, like, kind of, like, dog hunt movie where, like, they're on the run from the Picts, and the Picts are trying to come after them because one of their guys murders the son of the Picts leader, and,
in a way, it's the same movie as 300.
Absolutely.
It's just stylistically different.
Yeah, and... I mean, I will say there's a lot of beautiful scenes and, like, scenery and shit, but, and, like, they're, like, these 6 guys running away, and they're slowly getting picked off by the Picts. Right. The one moment that, like, just, like, is in my head is when they're like, we have to jump, and they're, like, jumping into, like, this fucking river because they're, like, at their tail, and one guy's like, I don't wanna, and literally he delivers it, like, at that level, I don't wanna. And Michael Fassbender turns to him and is giving full Fassbender and is like, you must jump! And I was like, why are you yelling? It was insane. Also, they run into like a quote-unquote witch who has been outcast. And I was like, oh no, I already do not like where this is going. Fassbender is ultimately the only one, spoiler, who like survives and goes back to the Romans. And the Romans are like, nah, girl.
Is this how Rome honors our heroes? You want to bury the truth, and me along with it.
You are too much of a risk.
The whole movie, I'm like, wait, who am I supposed to be rooting for?
Right.
Am I rooting for the Picts who are being savaged by the fucking Romans
who are actually defending their own land?
Correct. And the woman who, like, doesn't have a tongue.
Olga Kurylenko, I believe, plays that role, and she's somebody who has had a terrible career, and yet I really like her. Like, she was in Quantum of Solace. She was in, like, the first Hitman movie. That poor woman.
She gets all the, like, the hot, strong girl roles. And it's like, the character she's playing, she's a traitor to the Romans because they were using her to track the Picts.
Yeah.
And then she's like, actually, fuck you because you cut my tongue out and killed my family.
As one does.
As one does when you're a Roman. And...
When in Rome.
Correct. The movie's all framed around Fassbender and his character, and it's like they're trying to escape these savages.
Right.
And I was like, who am I rooting for? And I thought Endgame, I was like, there is going to be a final fight.
Yeah.
do I want her to prevail and, like, you know, win? That means Fassbender dies. That means our main character dies. Or is he going to, like, you know, kind of overcome this, like, kind of, they frame her as a mystical being,
right,
where she's, like, can able to fucking smell the air and know where anyone is. And sure enough, he fucking kills her.
Yeah.
And he prevails, but then, like, he kind of gets his comeuppance with, like, Rome is like, no, we don't want you either, son. They try to murder him, and then he just runs away. I was gonna say,
he's, like, deathly injured, and, like, but he delivers the same line at the beginning and the end, which is like, this is not the beginning of my story or the end.
This is not the beginning. This is not the end of my story. And I was like, but why did I have to hear it at the beginning and the end of this fucking movie?
You know, the thing that movie did the most for me was remind me how much I also hate 300, because 300 is also disgusting in the way that it treats its, like, women characters. It's disgusting in the way it treats its minorities. It's disgusting in the way it's homophobia. And, like, this movie didn't have the homophobic aspect, but everything else was still there.
I think 300 must have just done the, like, that was, like, one of Snyder's first movies.
Yes.
Right? So I think people were just, like, taken with the spectacle of it.
Yeah. The thing that people love about 300, which I feel like if you went back and watched now would be the thing that you should hate, is the fact that it looks like a video game.
Right.
And, like, that's what really drew people in, because that movie is not good. I'm sorry. I don't know what people see in that movie.
I'm just kicking you right now. This is Sparta! I mean, it was new, like, the spectacle was kind of, like, unseen, like, I understand, but now I'm like, girl, no.
Yeah. I still can't believe they made a sequel to that.
Anyway, Gavin, what is your 1-star review?
So, as I mentioned before, this is the first time ever in the 7 episodes we've done and all the amazing people we've done, I have a tie.
For the worst?
For the worst.
Okay.
And I think what it comes down to is this sort of fight in me, which is that I want to know, does Michael Fassbender want to be a character actor? Is he willing to sacrifice that portion of his good looks to sort of move towards that, or not? And so my tie is one that'll be controversial and one that won't. So I'll start with a non-controversial one, which is an underseen 2009 horror movie directed by Batman and Robin's Joel Schumacher.
What?
Yeah, Blood Creek.
Okay.
In Blood Creek, he plays Richard Worth, who is a Nazi who's sent to live on a farm in the 30s in America because that farm has discovered a Norse runestone that can bring the dead back to life.
A Norse runestone?
Yes. Flash forward to 2009, where Henry Cavill, whose brother, played by Dominic Purcell of Prison Break, has disappeared, shows up one day and is like, I've been being held hostage on this farm. We need to go there and kill this family of this hostage that's been holding me hostage. They go to this farm. It's the farm that Michael Fassbender's been keeping that family alive through his mystical powers because they trapped him in this basement. Now, you don't find out any of this until an hour into this hour-and-a-half movie. Like, literally, they decide to keep you in the dark about the premise of the film.
It's like M. Night Shyamalan, but, like, times 1,000.
Right. So, Michael Fassbender, in the end, is like this Freddy Krueger-esque Nazi. He's like wearing...
Did you say Freddy Krueger-esque Nazi?
Yes. He's wearing a long black leather trench coat, and he has a completely, like, scarred up face where he's like, all these runes have been carved into it. And, like, he's constantly, like, he spends at least 2/3 of the movie just whispering in German. And, it's
I don't know if you can hear that guy. It's my eyes rolling in the back of my fucking head.
It's so bad. It's so bad in tone. It doesn't know what it wants to do. It's clearly trying to set up a series, because, spoiler alert, he loses.
Okay.
And in the end, Henry Cavill, like, leaves because you find out, like, last minute, literally, like, 2 minutes before the end of the movie, he's one of 8 Nazis sent to America. Okay. And so, like, he decides he's gonna track these other Nazis down. He, like, finds an old map and realizes that they were sent in the shape of a fucking swastika. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm leaving.
The noise you hear is Louie leaving.
Leaving the room.
It's genuinely a joyless, stupid, and I have no idea. Like,
2009?
2009! How did anybody, like, look at the script and be like, yeah, this is passable?
Someone was like, yes, please, here's the check.
But that's the thing, is, like, he is clearly, like, I understand when you get that script what attracts you to doing that. Because, once again, that was early in his career. I mean, he'd already done, another low budget horror movie in England called Eden Lake, and like he'd already done 300, but like there was no sign that he was going to blow up. So like I'm assuming he took this role thinking like I'm going to have this horror movie villain. Maybe I can reprise it in a sequel. Right. I don't have to rely on my looks because like I don't look like myself. Because it's a Joel Schumacher film, there's lots of like little bits of homoerotica. Like at one point, Henry Cavill's like chained up, and Michael Fassbender like makes out with his back as he's like trying to drain his blood.
You know what? Maybe I do need to watch this.
That's mine.
I'm gonna kill you.
No. You're going to feed me. I've known men like you all my life. Tiny men with your tiny ambitions. Kill the enemy. Kill the enemy. You all end up the same. Making death with your own hands and calling others monsters.
Once again, gross rune face Freddy Krueger-esque Michael Fassbender.
Okay, right. And now I'm back. Never mind.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But it's such a mess that I cannot see how it wasn't possible to tell on set, like, where things were going wrong. Yeah. So I get, like, all the things that attracted him to it. It's this, like, role that he could be really meaty in. He can eat a lot of the screen and, like, but at the same time, like, the movie itself doesn't support it. So, like, it's weirdly a good performance in a really terrible movie. And that's why I have a tie, because the reverse of that is both X-Men Days of the Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse.
What?
Yeah. So if you watch X-Men First Class, which I don't think is a particularly great movie, but it's a fun movie.
Yes.
It's very clear Matthew Vaughn really dug into the character of Magneto and really, like, tried to make Michael Fassbender understand what drives Magneto, this sort of revenge. There's that great scene where he goes to Argentina. He gets to speak Spanish at the beginning, then he gets to speak German, and then he gets to be like, I'm Frankenstein's monster and murder everybody.
Buenas tardes, caballeros.
Buenas tardes.
Calor, ¿no?
Sí.
Una cerveza, por favor.
Deutsches Bier. Claro. Ja, ist Bitburger. Schmeckt gut, ne? Was sind Sie?
Let's just say I'm Frankenstein's monster.
And it's great. And then something happened along the way, and perhaps it's Bryan Singer. I don't want to give him all the blame.
But it's Bryan Singer.
The X-Men Days of the Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse, it's very clear Michael Fassbender's just picking up a paycheck.
Absolutely, yes.
And I don't blame him, because, like, if you're gonna get paid, get paid.
Yeah.
But, like, he's not showing up.
That's, like, one franchise he's in, right? Like,
yeah.
The one, like,
well, that and Alien Covenant, and the Alien films.
Well, now he's an Alien. But I feel like he has more work to do in Alien, right?
Yes. Well, absolutely, because he's also playing an artificial intelligence.
His Magneto is, like, the most generic, like, European whatever. Like, you know, that's his, like, that seems like the default Fassbender, like, let me just, like, kind of look very, like, hot and, like, kind of, like, imposing.
I mean, he gets the regal quality, but that's a very physical thing.
Yeah.
But he's delivering those lines like he's fucking reading the phone book to you. Like,
I mean, I was gonna say, in First Class, I thought, like, if I had to pick, like, my favorite scenes of, like, Fassbender's career, it's, like, him and fucking Charles, what's his name? McAvoy.
Yeah.
Like, I want that bromance.
Yeah.
Like, fun times all the time, like, going out and doing stuff.
And even the parts where where it's not fun. Like, there's that scene where he teaches him how to focus his powers, and he's like, dig deep. And Fassbender gives this really sincere, like, one single tear performance. And none of that is in the later sequels at all.
And it's weird because even, what was the last one? Apocalypse,
yeah.
Where he's, like, out living on a fucking... whatever, logging a shit and looking great in plaid. And, like, his child dies.
Yes.
And he has a whole moment where he's like...
He has to deliver the no line. The no! Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And then he, like, also, sorry to build off of that, but, like, then he goes for his revenge against the humans to the metal workshop, and he's like, do you want to see what I can do?
Some of you spoke to the police about what you believe you witnessed here yesterday. You want to know my powers? Know who I am? See what I can do. Think of the person you love most in your life. Now that person will know what it is to lose someone they love.
I think the reason also why I chose it is because he has something to base that character on. You already have 3 films in which Ian McKellen has played the older version of that character, and you can sort of deconstruct that backwards. And I think one of the smart things, actually, but I also think that's because Fox wasn't really sure what they were doing with the property, was when Matthew Vaughn took over for First Class, they were like, don't try and mimic the performances. So that's why McAvoy's not doing Stewart's accent, and why Michael Fassbender's not really doing the same stuff that Ian McKellen's doing. And then they hired Bryan Singer to come back in, and so I feel like they've lost themselves sort of in that. And so McAvoy's trying to be much more Patrick Stewart, and Fassbender just doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just cashing them checks. And so, like, that's why it came down to a tie for me, because it was like, do I want to trash him for a good performance in a really shitty movie, or trash him for a terrible performance in what should be an alright film?
Yeah,
though neither of those films are that great.
The movies
either.
are fine. I mean, First Class probably was the best of the new X-Men trilogy.
Absolutely, yeah.
But like you were saying, because they were loose and having fun.
But anyways, so those are bad reviews. Though I would want to give an honorable mention to the new Alien franchise.
Okay.
It's not his fault. He's fine. I have this whole theory about horror movies in general, which is that, like, in the 80s, when horror movies were sort of prevalent, the thing is the characters didn't really carry over that much. You had, like, Jamie Lee Curtis in the Halloween films, but that's about it. And so the audience viewpoint sort of became the murderer themselves. Jason, Freddy. Like, those are what people remember. They don't really remember the victims.
Right.
And Alien was one of the more interesting things because it was Ripley. You had Sigourney Weaver to follow through the films. She was your window in, and you wanted to root for her to win. In the newer Alien movies, Michael Fassbender's become your window, and he's just a psychotic robot. And you're back to the same old formula. And so I really feel like Prometheus was bogged down with its philosophy. Alien Covenant's bogged down by the fact that it's just a cheap Friday the 13th sequel. And I'm stealing that from Brian Fuller, who created Hannibal. Somebody asked him recently, and he said that. But like,
he said that?
It rang true to me. I was like, yes, this is a Friday the 13th sequel where you don't care about any of the characters. You're just waiting to watch them die.
Yeah.
And, but that's my honorable mention. Just,
okay, honorable mention for a shitty fucking movie.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd like you to hit me with your 4-star review, Louie.
My 4-star review. It's complicated. Starring, what's that movie? With Dan Lane, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm having some trouble deciding. Like, there's a part of me that it is hard to argue with the power of 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
I have a very complicated relationship with movies like 12 Years a Slave. And not just
because you don't acknowledge that slavery happened in the United States. Is that what it is? You're a horrible person. Exactly.
I don't hear it.
That's not true, by the way. It's just
also do not come for me.
Yeah, exactly. Disclaimer: I am joking.
I just have a really hard time, kind of, and it really mostly hit me a couple years ago when Sicario came out. Mm-hmm. Very different, obviously, but
Sicario is a movie with shitty politics, by the way. But anyways,
I realized, this is a tangent, I guess, but in Sicario, they go to, like, the border in Mexico, and it hit me, like, they had to hire people to play these Mexicans and who are being deported. And, like, I was wondering, like, man, like, what it must feel like to be a modern-day Mexican-American who had to get hired to play, like, illegal immigrants.
Right.
And it got me wondering, like, man, do these people want to be real actors? Like, like, are they trying to break into the industry and this is all they can get? And, like, would I do that? Like, it's fucking shitty. And now to see these movies about slavery and shit, like, man, Chiwetel Ejiofor and Lupita Nyong'o, who are fucking amazing. Oh my god,
Lupita's amazing.
And honestly, like, every black human being in that movie, so good. And I was like, and this is the shit that they have to go through to make a big Hollywood movie. And I don't want to shit on, anyone, really. But it got me thinking, man, Emma Stone, who I really like and enjoy, she gets to make La La Land and win an Oscar. Right. Which,
well, I mean, even if you want to, and this will be the second time on this podcast I fucking trash The Help, but, like, you look at The Help. She gets cast in a movie that's, primarily strong female black actresses, and she's the white girl who saves everybody.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, she wins this Oscar for playing a kind of, I mean, I liked La La Land, it was fine, whatever. she wins the Oscar compared to what Lupita Nyong'o had to go through
Right.
as a human being. Having to access, all those feelings of being a slave and blah, blah, blah. And she was able to like sell it on the Oscar trail really well, which is awesome. But fuck, dude, like,
Yeah.
like it just makes me so uncomfortable thinking about having to like play these roles. I mean, and we talked about this with Whoopi Goldberg, having to play these roles. These are the roles that are available to them. And I totally understand and get like, we should not forget the sins of our past, and these are stories that do need to be told, but it's pretty fucking awful that like this is all it seems like black actors have out there, and it seems like such a big fucking deal when you get a black actor to play like some second or third string character in a movie, when Emma Stone gets to fucking win an Oscar for like, singing some songs and dancing with Ryan Gosling.
No, that's a very like.
It makes
that's an upsetting point because it's like literally if you took Lupita Nyong'o and put her in the role that Emma Stone played, would she have won it? And that's not saying anything about the quality of acting because the girl can fucking act.
Yeah, I mean, and it is. The
Academy have voted for it.
I mean, I've told you this before. Like, I don't like seeing black people being brutalized.
Right. Well,
on the big screen.
But on the other side of that token, it's an important story to,
Absolutely.
and I'm not saying like it's important to watch people be brutalized, but it's important to understand the context of history and whatnot, which is why it's frustrating when people try and sort of whitewash history and act like that's not something that happened.
I mean, and that's what we talked a little bit about in the Whoopi Goldberg episode, Corinna,
yeah,
which is not slavery time, but like, kind of same concept. Also, I was really afraid to watch Color Purple because I assumed it was going to be the same brutality.
Yes, yeah,
and it really isn't. And I was like, man, Steven Spielberg really sanitized that.
Well, that's also the failure of, and this is on my aspect, the failure of the American school system was I hadn't seen The Color Purple and I assumed it was set during slavery times, and it wasn't. It's set 40 years after slavery times.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's set in the early 1900s, so yeah.
And I mean, so 12 Years a Slave, which was directed by a British man, Steve McQueen, who has worked a lot with Fassbender. Getting back to Michael Fassbender, his performance is really powerful in this. It's horrifying, and it really that shook me to like maybe he wants to kind of go this character actor roots and like
that is a tough role. That is not.
Yeah, I mean there is literally no like ounce of sympathy for this character, and it just got me like thinking. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o seems like such like a gorgeous, beautiful, warm, loving human being who's so smart and intelligent. Sarah Paulson is in this movie also.
Yeah.
Who is awful in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like, not awful.
No, the performance is not awful, but yeah, I completely agree. The character itself is like,
she's
a demon.
She is like a lovely human being, right?
Right.
Michael Fassbender also seems to be like a really fun, loving dude. And it got me thinking, these are fucking professional actors. Like, to go through all this shit, so that performance shook me the most. I wouldn't say I enjoyed the movie just because it's like hard to get through.
I had texted you earlier. I was like, it's not a pleasant experience, but it's a rewarding one.
Yeah, I mean, I was crying my fucking face off at the end.
Yeah.
And again, like it's hard for me to balance like these are important stories, and we need to fucking remind people like. I don't think a lot of people understand or realize how fucking brutal slavery was.
Right.
They just kind of think like, oh, we made black people do things.
Well, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, it was not that.
And that's what, like, it's funny, like, it's an interesting thing, too, because it is important that films like that get nominated for the Academy Awards, because part of me feels like that as much as I don't give a shit about the Academy Awards, there's a contingent of the population that does.
Right.
And therefore will probably only see that movie because of that.
It's nominated, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard also, like, there's a whole school of thought where it's like, these like really awful things that happen, and then here comes like Hollywood to like romanticize and make movies that win awards about these awful fucking things instead of actually getting things done.
Yeah.
And so part of me is like, it feels gross to be like, giving awards to this movie that is, I mean, it's a beautiful movie,
Yeah.
It's really well made.
Steve McQueen, I went to the press screening at New York Film Festival the year it came out, and he spoke afterwards, and he was one of the most insightful, and basically like, I didn't make this movie for, your white nonsense to critics. I mean, and I loved it. And I loved like, because there was definitely, being in a room full of New York critics, the interesting thing that you find out is like, there are a lot of them are cynical, especially the older ones. And so there's like things that happen in the movie, especially towards the end. There's like one sort of breaking the fourth wall thing. And I literally heard a critic be like, oh, come on, like in the audience. And like, luckily Steve McQueen wasn't in the audience for that. Like he was waiting to come out afterwards, but it was still very clear, like the press people that got up to ask him questions that were more like staunch and like conservative in their views, he was not there for them. And like, and I'm glad he did.
The one good thing, like the thing that like kind of like makes me feel better is like this movie is in your face and is not going to let you like turn away from like it's just lingering on the brutality. Yeah, lingering, and it's just kind of like as it is made to make you uncomfortable. And Fassbender goes there like with a lot of his movies. He is relentless. Yeah, in just like going to the places where we make
and the dedication to his art, like, and I think that's a really important thing that not every actor can say that they are.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine too many people being able to pull that off. Yeah, I mean, he pulls off the accent. You know, he looks the part. He has like that really gross, awful sexual thing going on with Patsy, Lupita's character.
Patsy, do not look in his direction. Continue on. Patsy, found him, master. Brought her back just as instructed.
What'd you just now tell her? What'd you say to Pats?
No words were spoken, none of consequence.
You're a liar. You damn liar. I saw you talking with her. Tell me.
Can I speak of what did not occur?
Oh, Master Black, bro! Master! You come here.
Master, I said come here! I brought her back just like you. Come here! Master! Master! I got it just as instructed. Master!
You stay away from Pat's boy.
He's just brutal. Cumberbatch is in the movie, so
yeah. I'd almost forgotten about. Yeah,
all the bitches.
All the bitches. So that's your 4-star pick?
I think so. Yes. There's another movie that I actually enjoyed much more, but I think it was an easier.
I'm curious as to what that is. Is that movie here with us right now?
It is. That movie is here, and that is it's a newer movie. It's Trespass Against Us.
Oh yes.
And I saw that last week, and I enjoyed that story a lot.
Yeah.
It's about
that just came out in March, actually. Yeah. So yeah.
And I felt a lot of like things about like fatherhood and trying to do good, for your children, and it's a really interesting look at a population of British folks.
Yeah. So it's a very specific region in Britain, and actually apparently the accent's really, really specific, and according to a lot of the reviews I've read from Britain and parts of England where they actually know people from there. Michael Fassbender like nailed it, and Brendan Gleeson kind of nailed it. They said he's a little too Irish at points, but
I mean, is that Donald Gleeson's father?
Yes, yeah.
Love him. Yeah,
he's also in Assassin's Creed. He also plays Michael Fassbender's father in Assassin's Creed.
He has folks he likes to work with.
He does have folks he likes to work with. I kind of enjoy that.
It is. They I mean, I don't know any better words, but like essentially like the white trash of Britain.
I think that's the best way, and that's the way they're sort of played in the film.
Yeah, and they're robbers and thieves, and he's trying to do good for his wife and kids, and put in awful situations by his father, who just is a piece of shit. Yeah, and it's an absolutely strangely sweet movie. He is doing his best. He's uneducated, and he wants.
Yeah, there's a whole subplot about how he can't read, and it's like
and he's he's trying to battle his father, who's like trying to romanticize, being fucking stupid to like his grandchildren.
Well, and it's weird because his father has like mixed his own ignorance in with his religion and sort of preaches it to their like commune, because they kind of live in like a commune type.
Their community they've built together is weird, and it's sad though, because it's like they are poor, they are thieves, they are no good to like the greater community. They are uneducated, and they just kind of like perpetuate that indefinitely. And trying to see this one man be like, I can have more for my kids.
You woke me up for this?
I want to talk to you.
What's happening then, Chad?
Tired?
Come on, talk to me, boy.
Nothing going on. Sleep, that's all.
Why the fuck you behaved like such a little twat yesterday? There. Worse than the kids, you was. Fucking ignore me.
What the fuck you done that for?
You got no idea, Chad. No idea the troubles I've had, putting all this together. And here you are, my eldest, acting like the prize dev. You know what my dad once said to me?
Yeah, I do.
What the fuck is the matter with you then?
I'm just trying to look after my family, Cole.
So that was my second kind of, if I had to give like a 3.5 star review, it would be to Trash Against Us.
And that's more where I'm at. I liked it. I thought it was a little more slight than, I feel like I've seen that story before.
That's true.
So.
It wasn't like terribly original. I liked also seeing he was milder.
Yes.
He didn't have, there was no like epic, there was very sweeping moments, but it wasn't like yelling and like kind of huge blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. It was a nice change of pace for my Fassbender.
So, along those lines, for my 4-star review, I'm actually sticking with the same director as yours, Steve McQueen. I'm going with Hunger from 2008.
Ooh, I didn't get to see Hunger. I did see Shame though.
I'd seen Shame before, and Shame, unfortunately, I saw Shame in a double feature with A Dangerous Method, and I disliked both of them, and like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Fassbender's performance, and I like what Shame is trying to do to highlight a very serious condition that people have that's not talked about as much because we're a very repressed society in America, and we don't talk about sex addiction.
Bad.
But I also feel like that movie is like severely judgy, and I think the I can't think of her name. I love her too.
Carey Mulligan?
Carey Mulligan's terrible.
You love Carey Mulligan?
I love Carey Mulligan, and I think she got her start on Doctor Who, and I'm a big stan.
All right. Nerd alert.
But yeah, I think that, and I also think there's like a really gross homophobic thing at the end, like
when he gets he goes to the gay bar?
Yeah, like his low point is having a guy blow him, and it's like, get over yourself.
True. I didn't read that at the time. I was just like, this guy really wants his dick sucked.
But going back to
Hunger.
Going back to Hunger 2009.
Steve McQueen's first movie, right?
Yes, or 2008. And Hunger is along the same lines as 12 Years a Slave. It's about a very specific social issue. It's the time in which the IRA members were locked up in prison. And it uses a lot of audio clips of suddenly can't think of her name. That horrible.
The Iron Lady.
Yeah, it's the Iron Lady. So it's about this specific prison that's holding these IRA members prisoners. And what's interesting about the movie is, first of all, it's an 1.5-hour film, which I thought it was going to be much longer.
Margaret Thatcher, there we go.
You were Iron Lady, but I'm glad you looked it up, actually. So it makes me look less dumb. So,
it makes me look more smart.
Exactly. And Michael Fassbender's not even in the movie until half an hour in, which is interesting. So he plays the leader of the movement, Sands. I suddenly can't think of his first name. This is what happens to me. I've been on many podcasts over the years. I call it podcast brain. Bobby Sands, and he was one of the leaders in the movement, and he decides after like a relentless, like there's a no-wash strike where like half the people in the prison aren't wearing uniforms, they're covering the walls with shit. They're having like things snuck into them in their like girlfriends' vaginas, and it's genuinely awful. They bring in riot police and they pull them naked out of their cells and just beat the shit out of them. And what's cool is McQueen is clearly, it's from the perspective of how awful the British were treating and were allowed to treat these Irish prisoners, but also he never lets you forget that these security guards are humans as well. You start the movie with a security guard, and like he's like clearly does not want to go to work, and he has like bruised and bleeding knuckles from like beating the shit out of prisoners. Like there's a scene later where there's all these riot police beating the prisoners, and one of the other, like from the outside the door, is shot, like he's just crying against the wall as his fellow guards are like beating the shit out of the prisoners. So it's an awful situation all around. But clearly the Irish are getting it much worse.
Yeah.
And But Bobby Sands eventually comes to the conclusion that the only way that people are going to pay attention to them is they start a hunger strike. And there's this really amazing scene. This is what the movie's famous for. There's a 17-minute long take between him and another actor who's a pretty famous actor, Liam Cunningham. And apparently they moved in together for like a month, and they did the scene 4 times a day, every day, to like get it down. And it's like it's acting in its purest form, and it's so cool to see that like Steve McQueen really believed in that he could get this performance out of people. Now, one of the hard things about this podcast is like there's an argument to be made that there is no performance that really makes a film. Like a movie is sort of good or bad regardless of because there's so many things that go into it. There's costuming, there's set design, there's how the camera's positioned, the view from the camera and everything. But I really think for being one of his first big screen films and for being this small British film, like there is no higher achievement than this 17-minute long shot where he's just acting against him. And like there's finally a cut and the scene continues when the cut occurs and he's just as good after it, but damn is it amazing.
He went to work.
He went to work, exactly. And it's heartbreaking and like furious and beautiful for that scene alone, and then you've still got another half an hour left of the movie.
Last hunger strike was flawed. It became emotional. 7 men started at the same time. They all got weak and they couldn't let the weakest one die, which left us susceptible to being conned by the Brits, and that's exactly what we were, conned. This time out, the men will start consecutively 2 weeks apart. Somebody dies, they'll be replaced. There's no shortage of us. 75 men have put their names forward.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
The announcement's being made today.
So what makes this protest different is that you're set to die, Bobby.
May well come to that.
And at that point, you're watching Michael Fassbender get down to as low as a human weight as possible. I think he said he went to a doctor to figure out how to get down, and like he was only allowed to eat nuts and sardines a day. He withers in the movie, and he said even like he tried to not let it affect him outside. But like he said, like,
how could you not?
Yeah, exactly. He literally stopped being able to sleep. He stopped calling friends. He said like he didn't leave his house except to go shoot the movie. And, it's one of the most, impressive modern day performances. And I'm not saying that you have to do that as an actor. I mean, look at Christian Bale, who lost all that weight for The Mechanic. The Mechanic's not an amazing film, but this is a beautiful example of synergy between, I hate that word, but synergy. Exactly. Unless I'm Jim, I'm not going to say synergy. It's a beautiful combination of both the power of like really beautiful, really intense filmmaking and a dedicated performance. And that's why part of me believes, I do think like he wants to be a character actor. And I do think some of the character performances are some of the better things.
Yeah.
But Hollywood's not going to let that happen. I feel like, Hunger and 12 Years a Slave have much more in common. 12 Years a Slave was the first movie he didn't write, which is interesting. But have more in common and more like in their soul than Shame does. And once again, I feel bad. I know a lot of people love Shame out there, and without Shame, we never would have gotten Full Frontal Fascie. I think he does some nudity in Hunger, but it's not exactly, you're not exactly like, oh, yeah. Like,
Shame is literally all about it.
As I'm looking at the boils on your body from the fact that you're wasting away, like,
hot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think from what you've been saying, all 3 movies though have this very brutal, visceral, like kind of, I mean, even in Shame, which is not like gnarly, but it's like sex looks very intense in this movie. Like, it is like up close, personal, like bodies. That
scene in Shame where there's that hotel where there's all the windows and everything. That's a real hotel in New York, and people do like exhibitionists do have a tendency to have sex there, and people can see it. It's down.
And what is the address, Gavin?
It's down near the meatpacking district, I think. And so, like, people had gathered once they realized it was Michael Fassbender.
Wow!
Like, people had gathered outside to like watch.
It was me.
It was me.
You. Actually,
just
me.
You with your opera glasses.
Yes.
Hello.
Eating popcorn.
But I think Hunger's like a really worthy watch. And once again, it's not a pleasant film, but it's a very rewarding experience. And maybe that's a strong suit. Yeah. But I do, as you mentioned, like, yeah, he's worked with Steve McQueen twice. He's worked with
three times now.
Three times, yeah. Justin Kurzel, who did Assassin's Creed and Macbeth. He's worked with him twice, so he's getting...
That same dude did Assassin's Creed as Macbeth?
Yeah. And well, that's what's weird about it, right? Because then it's also like Marion Cotillard and, yeah. So, I think he's very loyal as well. And like, he knows the people that...
He seems like a friendly dude, and like, I imagine him doing very well at Hollywood parties and like meeting people and being like, let's work together. Blah. I mean, and that's not a shit on him at all, but like, no, he definitely seems like he's a schmoozy guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, he's got the good looks and charm to like pull it off. I think he kind of, for me, he's like a European George Clooney character.
Yes, but I'll give him more. People like George Clooney because he plays George Clooney.
Correct.
I don't think Michael Fassbender really plays Michael Fassbender that much. I think Hollywood wishes he did more.
Absolutely.
And I think that's more clear when you watch something like one of his other new films that I saw that recently came out, The Light Between the Oceans. Which came out in 2016. He met his current girlfriend, Alicia Vikander.
So pretty.
That's a film where he, like, Hollywood's like, no, just do the Fassbender thing. Yeah. Just do it. It's basically The Notebook without any of the modern stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And, it's an okay movie. It's meh. But,
is there anything else you thought worth mentioning for, the best of his work?
I did want to give a shout out to Frank. I feel like Frank is a sort of underseen movie. A weird movie. I don't think it's all I know people who love it. I don't think it's all fleshed out perfectly, but it's cool to hear him sing as well, and he does get to sing in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's literally it. I mean, he's been in some other like decent movies. Like, he's decent in Slow West, decent in Steve Jobs. Like,
it's funny. So when you think about, he has 2 Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
One for lead in Steve Jobs and supporting for 12 Years a Slave. Steve Jobs was whatever.
Yeah. Steve Jobs is a filmed play, and he's fine at being.
Yeah, I mean, and he's.
I'm being a jerk when I say that. It's clearly not a filmed play, but like, that's what it looks
literally
like.
Is.
Yeah. Should we just quickly revisit our 1-star reviews and our 4-star reviews?
Yeah. So my 1-star review went to Centurion, and my 4-star review went to 12 Years a Slave.
And my 1-star review went to a tie between Blood Creek and the later X-Men movies, X-Men Apocalypse / Days of Future Past. And my 4-star review went to 2009's Hunger.
Awesome.
Or 2008. I keep doing that.
God,
just want to put it a year later.
Ruining a life.
Yeah, I am. I guess all that's left is get into our fast forward.
Yeah, we gotta fast forward to what's coming next for Fassbender.
So the one movie that we both had trouble finding is
Song to Song.
Song to Song, which came out earlier this year to like rave disappointments.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's starring like Fassbender, Ryan Gosling, Natalie Portman, like just all these like A-listers. And I mean, you know something is afoot when this like Oscar bait nonsense is coming out in like February or whatever. Like the studio was like, we'll put this movie right here. Thank you.
And like, other than that, I'm not sure really what he...
Yeah, like what's next for Mr. Fassbender.
I feel like the next big thing, might be this, adaptation of a Norwegian crime thriller called The Snowman. Right. And he's playing, Detective Harry Ole, I believe is listen, it's spelled Hole. Detective Harry Hole. But it's this very popular series of books. Nope.
Harry Hole.
And it is a very popular series of books. And like, it's got a great cast.
It's coming out this year.
Yeah. Val Kilmer.
Great cast. Including the one, the only Val Kilmer.
Let me read the rest. Rebecca Ferguson, Chloe Sevigny, Toby Jones, and Charlotte Gainsborough, J.K. Simmons, James Darcy. Like, there is a good cast here, plus Val Kilmer. And,
Bye.
And, I'm excited to see that. I know some people who've read the books, who really like them. I've never read any of those.
Yeah, and IMDb doesn't give us anything else.
It really doesn't. But it is a busy year, because if you think about it, like, this year, also is, Alien Covenant, which did okay, but kind of fell in its second week. Song to Song, which also not reviewed great, and The Light Between the Oceans, which came out at the tail end of last year.
Right.
Trespass Against Us, which it came out in America in March. So I think it did fan out.
Creed also came out like in Christmas time, right?
Yeah. So he's
working for sure.
Yeah. And it's certainly not going to slow down anytime soon for him.
What do you think, should, he be looking out for? I mean, part of me, is, thinking, is he the next James Bond?
Oh man, that's a curious, they haven't had an Irishman since Pierce Brosnan.
He could, he obviously has the good looks and the physicality of it. It is a character to get into, but also he can just be, hot in himself.
Well, that's the thing, too, is, that's the sort of thing I want him to steer away from. I would like to see him continue taking chances on doing things that are not, that oriented, the sort of bigger universe oriented. And that's what worries me about actually this Norwegian crime thriller, because if it's successful, they're obviously going to want to create sequels. And
as a kind of,
franchise.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
that's the word I'm looking for.
Like a Born Identity situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming this is what that is.
Yeah, I don't want him to end up in the Born Identity situation where he makes a bunch of movies and then gets tired of it, and then his career falters and he ends up having to go back to them later, like Matt Damon. Yeah, exactly. Or the other track, which is he ends up doing a Jack Reacher type thing like Tom Cruise, where one movie comes out and it's all right, and then the second movie comes out and everybody's like, what the fuck is this? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like when he does things more working with Steve McQueen or doing Frank and
weird
he needs
stuff.
Less Assassin's Creed in his life.
Less Assassin's Creed. I could also do with less of him being Roman Greed.
Yes.
We didn't talk about Macbeth a lot, but I was okay. I just don't want him to do any more classic stuff. I wonder, I know, all the interviews we have of him, it's he's a funny dude. I wonder what he would be in a more buddy, I would love to see him in a buddy comedy thing.
And maybe that would push him more towards having a more active character actor career. Because, no one picks the movie Frank because they're I want to be the leading man in, he literally hides his face for that entire movie.
I do not want him to become Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Period.
That's 100%. That's the best way to put it.
The end. Please do not become Russell Crowe.
Absolutely.
The end.
I think that's perfect.
What business do we have left?
Oh, yes. And we were going to try and move these up towards the beginning of the show, and we failed.
Didn't do that at all.
Yeah. Maybe next
time.
Yeah. But last week we did, Miyazaki.
Correct.
And it's funny, I thought people would really go for that, and it's been our least listened to episode. So please go back and listen to our episode on Miyazaki because it's really good.
We love Ha.
Yeah, exactly. But we did put out a poll.
Tell us what won, Gavin.
Excellent. So the poll only got 13 votes. With 0% is the wind rises, which I realized too late. I should have made Princess Mononoke.
Meh.
With 15% was Kiki's Delivery Service, your pick.
That was my vote. I literally voted, and that was the only one that I got.
My Neighbor Totoro with 31%, which was my pick, and overwhelmingly with 54% Spirited Away.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Which I was gonna say, which I did preface by saying, I really think that is his masterpiece. So.
Right. That is, I'm not even mad about that, because I love that movie.
Yeah. But thank you everybody for listening. All of our other business that we normally have, which is how to get in contact with us. You can find us on Twitter at The Mixed Reviews.
We're on Facebook. Just look up The Mixed Reviews and we'll find us there.
Absolutely. You can email us at reviewsmixed@gmail.com.
Right.
And you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, or SoundCloud, which currently has up our
last 3 episodes?
No, right now it's only Anne Hathaway, and because I have to slowly delete them so it's Richard Linklater and Anne Hathaway, and I will be getting rid of Richard Linklater and putting Whoopi Goldberg up there. I'm keeping it about 2 episodes behind.
Strong episodes.
Exactly. And on iTunes, if you could, and I hate asking for this because it feels like begging, but if you could go
beg.
Yeah, exactly. Rate and review us. What that does is it helps other people find us, and it's funny because we're in really good company at the moment in terms of like our recommended, like people are like other shows people listen to is like Two Dope Queens, and I'm like, really? What?
Am I Fifi or Jessica? Let me think.
I would like to think that we're Two Dope Queens, but
I'm probably more of a Phoebe than a Jessica.
and I'm probably more of neither because I'm not cool enough. No, Jessica's really into sci-fi. I'll give
you're
her that.
Jessica.
I'm the Jessica. But yeah, so rate and review us on that, and contact us once again. All the ways we told you. Tell us who you want us to do. We'd love to dissect and.
I mean, obviously, we all want to do Michael Fassbender, but now that he's over,
Every living thing wants to be a fast bitch.
yes.
Fast Bitch is my favorite Fast and Furious sequel, by the way.
Oh my god. Coming next spring. Fast bitch.
But yeah, it's so we're gonna go away. We're gonna decide who to do next.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
El Madrid, it's nice to see you. It's really nice to be here. I love you all. Stale beer, fat look, smoked out cowpoke, sequined mountain ladies. I love you all. Put your arms around me, fiddly digits, itchy britches.